Hi, this is Dave Anderson. I'd like to demonstrate the tutorial of how to use Cinefile that applies on the 3D sphere forms and other geometric shapes. Before I do that, if you have had a chance to watch my video yesterday on YouTube of shape scale technique, I recommend that you try to watch this first before you start doing this. Now, let's start the real lesson. My lesson. Okay. The channel values are simply between the darkest and the lightest and in scale of the middle. Now, the vocabularies right there I wrote this to help understanding for everybody. Okay. Highlights. They're usually the source of the main light, the very light of thought. That was called the true light, the most lightest. Usually the artists use the lighter mediums or pure white to blend out the part of the pencil. Now, half tones are usually the darker part of it, but usually the blends of it. Same as for BSC, but I feel like some is still caused by half tones to by the cross hatchings. Now, this part of that was coarse shadow. That was true shadow effect, the most darkest of all. So, now it's reflective, part of reflection light. Now, so the light of the spot hits, but then hits all kind of ground that bounce it out, that part. Now, so ever still caused me the brighter shadow was the same as this, but that was true shadow, the darkest. But now, this one is cast shadow. The other word to say bounce straight to the land. Because if a light reflected, the blocks of it, so it becomes all dark in the bottom. Now, we'll demonstrate some of it. So, I'm going to start with 2 each. But I'm going to just start doing this part. So as this was the lightest, is highlight. So I'm going to draw that part. Maybe a little bit gray, but that's later. Oh, sorry, I forgot light. Now, I'm showing my perfect yes video on YouTube. Normally, you gotta overlap a part of that shadow, but you have to press a little bit harder on your pencil. It gives out a blend. It gives out a little bit darker the part of the area. But you don't want to raise that too much. I think let me just like point decimal. And we keep using them the same, but just like smaller transition from lighter to darker, the part. But I kind of call it was kind of looking like that, a point decimal example. But I know it's a little bit off the point in a way. Now, it starts slowly changing, but it's good. So as this area, you always have to compare this areas, okay? Which one's darker, which one's lighter. So this is the lightest, but the root always the darkest in this spot. Because of light reflection. So, that's the second, this was a little bit lighter compared, with this lightest compared to that, but compared to this also, so. Well, come. Now let me get out the pencil. I'm Twitch now with HB. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. If you do too much of that, like hard press, it gives out much darker value. You don't want that. You don't want to be too much on this poor spot. Okay. So I'll do a little cross hatch too. sometimes, well, that works either. Okay, now, I'll go back to 2H. Just a little bit, but I realized this was darker, so I go a little bit transition. It's okay, I'm just a simple pretty paper, so it's fine. Now, let's start the next spot. See, so sizes are a little similar, but it's the same one. But compared this one, buffer is more darker compared, so it's odd. Let's start with that. But I realized this area was a lot lighter spot, so okay. I'm sure the same place will help warm up. But I would tell, don't feel bad. If you're still not sure, that's okay. I mean, it takes me a lot of studies to try to figure out how ShadeFile works. I mean, there's still a lot. There's not experiment, yeah, there's all kinds of experiments. Well, to worry about that. Pretty awesome like this. But when you learn more, so unfortunately 12 different kinds of it. You can use cross hatching, but I just want to try how back in the days, but so what. So, well, you know, a lot of people saying practice make it perfect. For me, this part true. But also experiment has really made it perfect. Multiple times, multiple tries, but multiple ideas how you can make it better. Okay. Now I realize this part's a little bit darker. I mean, you can see if you try a little bit thicker on just one pencil only, you realize it's a little bit blunt. You may want to use different pencil for it. Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit better. Okay. Excuse me. Alright. It's important to learn how to use these techniques. I've seen vibes, but it gives you a better idea. After you learn ShadeFile, you have to use studying for all different kinds of forms to help you understand better with people, place, then or landscape, or audience, or animals. Well, for audio part, it can be a little tricky, but yeah. But you gotta be a little creative. And that it's that tells you where it's right and wrong. Well, they call it artist instant, but usually it's part of spirits, but oops. Done. Now, don't be afraid of using this. Don't be afraid. It's part of really important to learn how to take some of its spot. See, you can see it gives out. I took some of it out because it's stickiness, but it works very well. So let's go switch back to Twitch. Yep. And it's always important to take your time. If you want a good outcome, yes, time is really important. But if you have a chronic deadline, just be careful with that. Okay. Now, now you realize this was darker. Now this gonna change. If you ask yourself that this spot is lighter or darker than this, I realize, wait a minute, this is a little bit darker, yeah, than that. But this part of that area is the most darkest, so let's change the pencil a little bit. But I'll use 2H for that part of the area. So let's go with B, 2HB. No, actually, I was thinking about it was 2B. Yeah, okay. Yep, 2B, HB. Yep. Okay. Now start with HB, 2B. I've switched to HB now. I'll start with later first. Now I'll go back to HB. Now it's going a little bit darker. But you have to be willing to compare all this thing. And then go back to it sometimes. I'm gonna say start transition this part, right? So, not bad. But somebody would start studying sound value because if any of you were taking college classes like drawing 1, drawing 2, or something similar like that, they're gonna teach you a lot with chain values, and they use it for most part of how to pass mine, but I'm just giving you a clue to some areas. You may want to start think about how you prove it. Now let's go a little bit crush. I mean, bring a pencil just a little bit. Not like crazy hard, but just a little bit. To give it out, darker area is the part of your paper. Not bad. Now softly pattern a little bit. There we go. Now I've lost this one as part of my one is darkest, so this is this. something like that, yeah. Okay. Now, I've realized this area is very similar to this spot, so let's keep the same pencil. But, I noticed it was this one similar, and also that part of that area. So, okay. Okay. Now, let me show my pencil. Okay. Now, let's start with this spot. So I want to start the darkest first, and then all the way to the lightest. Because when you start the darker part of that would end up overlapping a lot. So you may want to think about that. It's important to learn to shading more properly in the area. And it's also important to take your time a little bit. Okay. But I want to give you a little bit of rules for the odd rule. You may want to think of, saying for trying, you may want to think about between 3 to 5 different shade values, maybe 6 or 7 if you're interested. To try to give it out proper transition, but also to identify which area was the lightest to darkest to help. Now, I realize this one is the light, say the light spot that you're on a bounce off, right? Guess what? The same thing is the reflective light. So we should go a little bit easy with that. Just put that for the hold for now. And try to work on the shadows a little bit. Okay. But if you're not sure, if you feel like you're not so sure about the shape I'm matching that, you can always squat your eye a little bit open, and then you look at the pattern where the light spot went to reflection when you compare. But that's much darker, so. Oh, yeah. Something like that, yeah. Okay. One second, please. Alright. Excuse me. Now, let's continue. Okay. Now, what you have to do is grab your eraser. So this is eraser. Well, I'm sorry, I mean Canadian eraser. Then you use this. Try to give it a little bit bounce. Now we're back to HB. HB. Now. So a little bit bounce spot to yeah. Come. Now go back to 2B. So make sure the little bit cuts my dark spot in the ear now. Okay. Now we start seeing the bounce off a little bit, which got maybe I want to work with that a little bit more. Okay. Let's start bounce off more and more, which is getting better. Now, if you ever want to use this as a Shinify, you can, but you gotta use 2H and then the rest of with this. But it works. But I realized it was pure white spot, so not much you really need it. So you can wait for now. Now, this is the large dark of the spot. Let's go to 3B or 4B. Let's go 4B for now. Okay. Now, sharpen a little bit. Okay. Now, part of the darkness, it was a little bit darker this one. Because it was touching two different options. Not options, first Colombian. Yeah, it's about the darkest, it's charging gradually, so this one will be the darkest fade out a little bit later. That works. Now, let's go back to that. Sorry. Okay. I was saying, let's start with HB, this part. Now, that's paddled up, overlap with some airness and spot. Okay. Now, let's use 2B for now. 2B. Something like that, yeah. But I was just was a little bit darker, it's fine. Kom. I'll go back to it later. For now, this. Kom. I'll go back to this. Come. Now, let's go with 2 each. Doesn't look right. Now, I usually think HB like different kinds of color pencil. So the really matter should all the shadows, the perspective. This other way you can see, you can stain them. But so it works fun. So all that seemed right. But they have a little bit more of scratch, but okay. But I think you should check it out. Pen Instruments if you're interested in like this kind of work. But they have a lot of good kind of teacher that can help anybody to learn about it. But I think it's pretty interesting. Come. Now, I'll give you another answer. My mission earlier, you may want to use 2 minutes for this, but you don't have to. But if you want to, you're going to use the little bit blend stem, and then this one to touch it up some area. But you don't need that for now. So. But that's how you do the blending part of that. I also use the channel values. So if you liked my video, don't forget to subscribe and please like. And thanks for watching.